Hello, this is Jenny from SYH Art Studio and welcome to the video. This is a recent Arcane fan art piece that I did, and this will be a time lapse, and chat with me while I ramble about Arcane. So grab a snack or feel free to draw alongside me and let's get into it. So I'm drawing this on my iPad Pro using Procreate. I did a previous video about some brushes that I like to commonly use, so I'll link that in the description below if you're interested to see more about my art process. But I did experiment a lot with different types of brushes, and this is overall a different style than I'm used to. So yeah, a lot of experimenting was done. But I think that was really helpful, as honestly, this was kind of a big style study in many ways and heavily inspired by the art style of Arcane. So I did a lot of screenshot studies from the show, and I think it's overall improved my just portrait drawing skills, rendering, coloring skills. It's just been an incredible study for me as an artist, and so I'm really excited to showcase it here a bit. So this pose reference is something I found from Pinterest. It's really funny on the comments in this post. You can see that people are saying, oh, this is Silco and Jinx. And so I essentially just replaced Silco with Isha here. And I guess if you know the story, that's pretty sad now that I think about it. But regardless, this was inspired by a headcanon that I actually had of Isha probably requesting Jinx to teach her how to braid, because she noticed it took Jinx so long every day to do her own braids, and Isha just wanted to help. And I think that's really fitting for her character, so I had to just draw this out. Also, I started this right after I finished episode 6 of season 2, and I am emotionally devastated. I won't get more into it because of spoilers, but if you haven't seen the show, by the way, please do yourself a favor and go watch it. It is incredible, and honestly, all artists everywhere have just been lifted out of their art block magically, single-handedly by this show, and I've been so excited to see all of the fan art and edits and content for this show, because it's left a void in my heart, and it's going to be a while until I get over it, and I'm so excited for the next season, which hopefully will be sooner, but I know it took 3 years between season 1 and 2, so I'll be patiently waiting, I guess, and just rewatching a lot of the first 2 seasons. But yeah, to get into my process more here, you can see I do pretty detailed sketches generally for more complex pieces like this. I just like to have everything planned and laid out. I know some people do very loose sketches and they kind of finalize it during their inking and coloring stage, but I spend a lot more time, the most time, on sketching. So yeah, I even add details and shading to kind of help guide me later down the line whenever I do finalize in line art. I also had a really hard time finding reference photos for Isha, like a full body reference for all the details of her clothing and accessories. I found quite a lot for Jinx, but yeah, Isha was a bit difficult, so I actually had to go into the show and take some screenshots myself and kind of figure out how this would look in this current pose that she's in, and so some creative liberties were taken here. But yeah, I think I overall captured like her ultimate outfit towards the end after she like dyes her hair and everything. And just a quick side tangent about the soundtrack of season 2. Oh, it was so incredible. I've been listening to it non-stop, just like driving or doing chores. And the fact that they had songs in different languages, like Isha's song being in Chinese and the song between Echo and Powder in the AU in French, like that was such a great creative move on the creator's part. It just reflects the diversity of the characters in Arcane so well, and it was just a brilliant move, and I think it just really added a new element to the show, considering there's so many different plot lines going on as well, and so it was great. I'll be still listening to these songs. And don't get me started on the live line performance at the Game Awards. I've been seeing it across my feeds everywhere with edits being made to it. It's so emotionally devastating, and I need to make fan art of Victor and Jace at one point. The visuals in those scenes, they were so incredible, and I don't think I can do them justice, honestly. I am not confident enough yet, but I've seen some amazing fan art already for it, and it's like inspiring me once again. So the arcane fan art train continues. Alright, so now going into the line art phase, which is personally my favorite part. I'm using the dry ink brush that comes with Procreate, which is my go-to line art brush when making character illustrations like this. And especially for the arcane style, considering the show has so many textures, I thought it was perfect for this piece. And I'm not using a black color for lining. I usually don't. I use a dark brownish color typically. I just think that black is too stark of a color. And you can see I changed the canvas color in the background because my eyeballs were hurting so much while doing this. Also, not sure if you can tell, but I struggle with drawing braids every single time, and I need to pull up a reference. I always try to freehand it, and it always goes wrong. And so, yeah, halfway through, I gave up and had to pull up something. I'm sure every artist has kind of a I can't get it right no matter how hard I try sort of thing when they draw, and braids are definitely mine. I really hope to master it one day and just be able to do it with ease. Like you can see here, these are pretty simplified braids. I decided not to add any further detail because I was gonna go crazy. So Jinx, honestly, as a character, has been a great practice for me for braids, so really appreciate drawing her. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but I have a trick when it comes to line art, when it comes to points where lines intersect, like you can see where Jinx's bangs are. I like to darken the corners a bit just to make the characters pop more. And other corners and edges, as you can see, I'll go over it and make them a bit darker. And it's kind of helpful when it comes to shading as well. I think I can tell where shadows lay. This was also really helpful in practicing how I draw hair. I think Arcane is really great if you want to study how to draw hair because of the very distinct shapes that the artists give. Like you can see with Jinx here with her bangs, and Isha also has a pretty interesting hairstyle as well. I think this would have been a struggle point for me if I didn't study it beforehand. So getting into the coloring phase here, I like to use the color fill option that Procreate has, but a note, if you're using a texture brush like I am, it will be difficult to get a very clean fill. I wasn't worried too much here because it's a more complex piece and you can only tell when you zoom really close in, but if you try to do that option, it won't fill in all of the gaps like that the texture brush leaves, and so sometimes you'll have to go over it manually, but I think it's still a faster option to use. And here I'm just coloring Jinx first. I also like to do layers in a group just so I can easily toggle the character colors on and off. I think it just helps whenever I'm filming and like making posts and stuff to just have all of one character's colors in a group that I can click on and off easily. So I'll share a screenshot here of how my files are organized. But yeah, so I actually jumped straight to rendering. And this was the most fun part that I haven't really done before for other pieces. Like this style of rendering, you can see that classic Arcane highlight, just the shadows around her eyes and where her bangs are. I softened them up a little bit more than the Arcane style, which is just how I prefer it. But yeah, no, I've never been able to render like this, and doing those style studies has helped me tremendously. And now doing the coloring for Isha. I actually had a difficult time finding her exact skin tone, and the screenshots that I had were a little different in lighting, and so it was difficult to exactly capture the right one. I definitely knew she was tanner than Jinx, so that helped a lot. It was also really helpful that both of them had similar color palettes, so I was able to just color pick from what I already did with Jinx when laying the flats for Isha. Also, just a side note, I don't play League of Legends, but my husband does. And while we were watching, Isha came on screen and she got the hat. He was like, oh, look, it's Teemo, which is this raccoon-like creature in the game. And apparently they're very similar hats. So that got me thinking maybe that means Isha's still alive and they're gonna bring her back as some sort of hybrid creature or something. I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to cope with the fact that she's gone, but yeah, one can hope. Now getting to the final details of doing all the props around Isha and Jinx. This was actually really fun. I experimented a lot with different styles of brushes. I've been using the flat brush from the painting section of Procreate so far, but I thought with all the paint splatter effects and different lightings from the show that it would be great to just try out different brushes. And you can see here doing the shadows and final touches. I decided to leave the background blank. I think I was pretty tired at this point, and also I just wanted the characters to be the main focus. I also just need overall practice with background, so maybe that'll be in the next piece. I did try to add some paint splatter effects and textures, as you can see, but I eventually just landed on doing the classic Jinx style graffiti art, which was really fun to do and kind of a last minute add, but I thought it just made the piece come to life more. And here's the finished piece. Thanks if you made it this far, and leave a comment below if you like this sort of time-lapse and chat with me style videos where you listen to me ramble. I really appreciate the support. All my links are in the description below if you're interested. Thanks, and till next time.